I want them to know that I have a platform, and aside from all that, aside from any sort of success, that I'm just like them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, it makes me no different. I'm just like them. I cry like them. I bleed like them. I'm human just like them. And I think, although again, I'm not perfect, I've made mistakes. I know in my heart, and I think that's what I matters the most to me now, is that internal validation. Where in the past I seeked more external validation. I know my intentions are pure and my heart is good, despite anything else, you know. And I'm just trying to lean more into that going forward and just filter out any sort of negativity. And Martin Luther King said something that I really love, where he basically said darkness or love cannot, like, hate can't drive out hate. Only love can do that, right? Darkness and light. He has a quote about that that's kind of similar, and it's true. So now I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna lead with love, right? And that doesn't always mean that you can't stand up for yourself and you can't be a fighter, but you can do it with more dignity and more class, I guess. Yeah.
This is From the Ground Up, where we talk to entrepreneurs in all different industries and give you the down and dirty about what makes them successful. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button and check back every Monday as we drop new episodes.
All right, welcome everybody. We are here with Linson, aka Linson Hair. This is episode 83.
Woo!
Yeah. So Linson, you started owning your own salon just like a couple months ago with your best friend Chancellor. And what's the name of the salon again?
It's pronounced Cendre.
Cendre.
Yeah.
I knew
Spell
I
that.
would yeah.
Cendre with a little apostrophe.
What does
over
that
the E.
mean? Yeah, like a little.
It's a French word. It means ash in French, but it was just honestly we just thought it looked cool, and it kind of like there was no other salon named
Yeah.
that.
It is a cool name.
It's hard to find something original,
Yeah.
you know.
What did you chat GPT that?
No, him and I. That was the hardest part of all of it, was figuring out a name.
Same with us.
He's a
And
Leo,
we-
and I'm an Aries, and so we're both fire signs, and so we literally just everything. We were texting each other like lists of things like fire, you know, things that had to do with our friendship and our signs, and
Yeah.
we came up with that.
Well, ash kind of has to do with fire
Yeah.
a bit. It can. Yeah, that was us. I mean, we're both cancers. I don't know if that has shit to do with anything. But it took us like a month to come up with SNS mortgage team.
It's tough.
A month. It's tough. A month.
Did somebody see the word and was like, that's a cool word? Like,
So-
it had to pop up somewhere.
Yeah. So basically, what we did was we were taking all of the things that we like and putting them in different languages. So we would
Oh, that's
Google
dope.
fire and like French, and ash was one of the words we Googled, and we're like, that's actually really dope.
What language is that?
French.
French.
Okay, French.
Yeah.
Cendre.
Cendre.
I love that.
Yeah, so you're an owner of a salon, you're a content creator, you're obviously a badass hairstylist, and you're a dad. Like,
Yes.
That's the most important one.
yeah, I feel like that's your biggest feat. Yeah, he just turned 1 year old.
Just
Yes.
a couple days ago, yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
You're just, I mean, everybody knows who you are. You really don't need any type of introduction. I mean, anybody in Denver knows who you are. Hollywood. I mean, you're making your rounds around, you know, everywhere. So I kind of just want to know, obviously this is called From the Ground Up. You've made yourself to who you are today, but I just want to know, like, let's start from the very beginning. Who is Linson? Tell us a little bit about your family, how you were raised, and then how a handsome man like you gets into hairstyling.
Good question. So my mom had me very young. She was 16 when she had me. A lot of people don't know that. She loves, whenever we go places, someone will be like, oh, I thought that was your girlfriend or your wife.
I said that to Gabby, and I was like, who the fuck did?
Yeah, she loves it.
Yeah, she's hot. She's hot.
I don't love it as much.
Shout out Linson mom.
I'm like, get away, don't walk so close to me, Mom. Just kidding. But yeah, she had me young. She was a single mom, worked her ass off to raise me. She had a bunch of jobs. My dad kind of came back into the picture a little bit later when I was a few years older, and then he actually ended up passing away when I was 11. He committed suicide, which was pretty tough. My brother was 3, I was 11, and it was the hardest thing I ever went through. But it also, shaped me in a lot of ways too. I think
Yeah,
like
for sure.
our struggles and the things that we go through are what ultimately like shape us and make us better. So I kind of use that as fuel to fire my success down the road, I guess.
So digging into that a little bit more, your brother was 3, you were 11. Your mom was a single mom. When did he enter back into your life again?
He came back, I want to say when I was like 3 or 4. They were young, he was like, I think he was 17 or 18, and my mom was obviously 16. And I think he was freaked out. They were young, came back in, and he was a great dad. He's a great human. He just obviously had some struggles. And I think back then in 2005 when it happened, mental health wasn't, especially with men, wasn't like talked about as much. That's why I'm very passionate about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so was he in your life when that happened?
He was,
Yeah. That's hard
Yeah.
to process at a young age too. Like 11, you're going through all the things already, and then on
Right.
top of that, that's crazy. Wild.
That's what I tell people when I tried to explain it as I got older. Like, 11 was tough because my brother was 3, so he didn't really know what was going on. But I was old enough to know what was going on, but too young to know how to cope with it. You know what got me through it the most? I tell everybody, Eminem.
Yes.
Eminem, the rapper?
Yeah.
I had a Sony CD player, and I would go sit under this tree or in my room, and I would just listen to the Eminem show, all his albums, and just because he was in adversity,
Yeah, for sure.
and he made something of it, so he was his music got me through it. I love
That's
him.
awesome.
And he still does.
And
to
he's
this
gonna
day.
tour.
Yeah.
He's gonna tour next year. If we hear,
We're
and
going.
We're all going.
We're
No,
going.
for sure.
He
No.
did some show last October somewhere. Did you see any of the footage?
I think it was in Germany.
Probably.
It was so sick. I hit her up at like 3 a.m. in the morning, and I was like, fucking Eminem. And I was like, I will pay wherever to go, wherever, front fucking row. Like, we're doing Eminem, so I get you there. So, so when that happened, you were 11. Okay, Eminem gets you. But, like, how did that shape you? How did that shape your mom around you? Like, how did you guys pick up and move forward from that?
Well, my mom remarried pretty shortly after, within 2 years later. She met my stepdad, and his name's Ray. And at first, I was very apprehensive about it. I was like, "Who's this guy coming into my life, trying to, be my dad?" I was rebelling a little bit, and he ended up being one of the best things that could have happened to my family.
That's awesome.
He walked into a tough situation, and he handled it with grace, and took over me and my brother. My brother calls him dad. I call him Ray, just because I was already used to that at that point. But
You were older.
yeah, but then they had 2 more kids, so I have 3 younger brothers, and it was hard. I mean, I think all of it, like, it was good, but it took a while to be good. Like, it also caused a lot of anger in me. I had a lot of feelings surrounding it, not just grief, but anger. I was kind of ashamed of it a little bit.
Really?
Yeah, like after he passed, I remember I had to go to this, oh my gosh, it was like a group therapy session with other kids my age whose parents had also passed away. And we would go in a circle and I think the idea was to get us to talk about it. And like one person would be like, "My dad died from cancer. My dad died in a car accident." Although it's not any less bad than my situation, it just felt different because my dad chose to leave. So I just felt like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot. It's a lot to process at that age.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was getting in fights and I was hanging out with the wrong kids.
And is this in Colorado at the time?
Yeah,
So whereabouts did you grow up?
Southwest Denver. I was born at Rose.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
And then I grew up in like Southwest Denver, Lakewood, and then my mom moved to Littleton when I was in high school.
So did you go to Littleton High School?
Chatfield.
Chatfield?
And
okay.
Collegiate too, this other little small school.
Okay. Okay. Did you play sports at all?
I did mixed martial arts, and I played soccer when I was a kid.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
that's right. You do have some skills here and there, here and there. I don't know. We got someone with some more votes than you on one video, but
Yeah,
you're pretty
I remember
you're
that.
pretty damn good. So okay, so this is middle school at the time this happens, right? 11 is middle school, or is that elementary school?
I was in elementary school.
Yeah,
I was in 5th
elementary,
grade.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you go this, and you said that you started getting into the wrong crowd. Can you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, I just I was a great student, for example. Like I did well in school. My dad was really smart. He was the one who helped me. My mom admits that.
Your biological father?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was like very, very intelligent. So he would help me with my homework, and like my mom, she doesn't enjoy that part of it as much. So when he passed, I think I kind of just, I don't know, that part of, when he died, like that part of me died too. I didn't care about school as much. You know, and so I just started to like not pay attention as much and skip class, hang out with the wrong people. And my teachers would get so frustrated, and they'd always tell my mom, like, my mom would get frustrated. They're like, he's so smart, but he just doesn't apply himself.
Yeah.
You know, it's that classic story.
Yeah.
And so my mom was she was very hard on me and fought for me and went to all my conferences. And she was a good mom, but it was stubborn. And so I think towards the end of my senior year, she was like, you know what? I knew I wanted to do hair. And she was like, you know what? Just drop out. I'm done. Like, you're going to just get your GED if you're going to do hair. And I was like, really? And I was like, Mom, I promise you, if I drop out and I get my GED, I swear to you, I will make something of myself. I told all my teachers. And so here we are.
How
And
did
High
you,
school dropout.
212,000 followers on
Yeah.
Instagram.
how did you know that you wanted to do hair at that age?
Yeah,
What-
yeah,
what-
Like, have you always been super creative or like artistic? Like, what is just like hair? Yeah, like I want to do hair.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's a good
Well,
question.
that's yeah, right. Because it's a very female dominated industry. We know this, but like especially at that age, you're like, this is what I want to do, and you just knew it and went for it.
Yeah. So there's a few different things that got me into it. I think it was kind of like the perfect storm. So the first and foremost thing I would say is David Beckham.
Ah,
What?
Yeah.
why
so
can I see that? I can like because you kind of have like a David Beckham vibe, you know?
That's the nicest thing anyone's ever told me. Thank you.
Wait,
He's a
David
stud.
Beckham doesn't do hair, does he?
I know, but his hair is always okay. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, you're
Yeah.
right. So he was gonna do hair
Okay.
if he wasn't
Soccer player?
a football player.
Football.
Yeah.
Football.
But my uncle was going to be a professional soccer player. He tore his ACL, MCL. It ruined his career. He was so good. He went to Green Mountain High School. Anyways, he had this book of David Beckham. And my uncle was more like my brother because him and I are close in age because my mom had me young. And so we were super close after my dad passed. And, you know, him and my other uncle, his brother, just kind of took me in. And he had this book of David Beckham, and there was like 10 pages just dedicated to all of his hairstyles over the years. And I would take that book into like Great Clips or wherever my mom would take me, you know, and I would show them those photos, and they could never quite do it.
Yeah,
And I was like,
it's
oh. And so I had this. Remember when like emo and scene was
Yep.
cool?
Oh my
That's when
God.
I was in high school.
Yes.
Now I feel like Gen Z. It's like the flippy curly hair.
Yeah, it's the
The,
bowl cut.
It's the Edgar.
The
It's
Edgar.
Edgar's.
Yeah.
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 Well, my age was straightened like
Yeah.
bangs.
Tonight will be the night that I will fall for you
100.
over
Yeah.
again. Okay. Yeah.
100%. And my mom hated it. My stepdad were like they just wanted me to show my face
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I just grew it out because I was like, I can never get a good haircut, you know. And so I flat ironed it. I have to find you a picture.
I've
Please do.
seen some from you back in the day because, again, you're also a content creator. We'll get into all this. But it goes back to you, and I was like, holy shit, Linton had long hair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And when I was in high school, it was I
Like
literally.
wavy.
It is, yeah. That was more recent. When I was in high school, it was like I flat ironed it straight, and it literally covered my eyes.
We need
skinny
this.
Love it,
jeans.
yeah.
I wore my girlfriend's jeans
Yeah.
before they made like men's skinny
Yeah.
jeans.
we need to see a picture.
I'll have to find some. I think I've archived a lot of them over the years.
So
Were you
anyways,
just like a skinny little guy too?
Yeah.
Oh, because you guys have muscles now.
Yeah. A little
So
bit
you
more.
just could never find somebody to get the haircut right that you wanted.
Yes.
And you're like, fuck it, I'm just gonna figure out how to do this myself.
Well, no, what happened was my mom would go to a salon called Tony and Guy. Have you guys heard of Tony and Guy?
Uh-uh.
Tony and Guy was the it salon back in the day. It was really cool. It's kind of died out since, but you go in there and they have loud house music playing. Everybody has tattoos. Everybody's super cool looking. And I would go into the salon with her and she'd get her hair done. And I would just sit there and look at all the books. I just loved being in there. I just thought it was so cool. And one day she told me I think it was my 16th birthday, She said, Linson, if you cut your hair out of your face, out of your eyes, I will pay for an expensive haircut for you for your birthday from Tony and Guy, which at the time was like 60, 70 bucks. And that was expensive for my mom. You know, we didn't grow up with money and things like that.
That's expensive now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. And so
Yeah.
it was like a really big deal to me. And I said, oh my gosh, I'll cut it short
Yeah.
if you get me a nice haircut. So she took me in, and this guy cut my hair. He was tattooed. He was into cars. He was into skateboarding, all the things that I was also interested in. And I found out he was straight, which I didn't realize at the time straight guys did hair, because I think there's this preconceived notion, you know. Now,
Oh, there definitely is.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
especially here in Colorado. I think when you go to LA and Miami, in fact, London and the UK, Europe, being a straight hairdresser is like being a firefighter.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so normal.
Yeah.
But here in America, for whatever reason. So he gave me this haircut, and I'll never forget just like leaving. The feeling that I felt leaving that salon was something I'd never felt before. And I was like, I want to recreate this. I want to do this for other people.
Yeah.
So I like found him on Facebook, and I was like, hey man, I love my haircut. And he responded, he's like, I think I want to go to hair school. And he was super supportive of it. And so, yeah, I dropped out a year or two later, and went to Paul Mitchell, graduated in
Mitchell.
2014.
Yeah.
In 2014. Okay, so
So he
11
nailed
years
he nailed the
later.
David Beckham haircut. Like he got it right.
he
And you're
nailed
just
it.
Did he
like,
do it?
Yeah.
Is he still cutting? Do you still keep in contact with him?
We kept in contact. He took a long break, and then he came back, and we have kept in contact a little bit. Yeah.
Does he know that like he helped you?
I've told him. Yeah. I ran into him at a wedding a few years ago, and I told him, and I think it meant a lot to him. So,
Yeah.
I'm sure coming from you. So okay, so you graduate in 2014, and then you're like, now what do I do? How are you? Because you told your mom like, hey, if you let me drop out, I'm gonna make something of myself. So what did you do? What was your first step to be like, let's go?
because building a book of clients as a hairstylist is not easy.
Yeah.
It's not.
And as a male,
yeah.
yeah.
you had like kind of a lot of shit against you. I want to say.
Yeah, hair school was interesting. It was hard for me because I was the only straight guy there until the end. Another guy moved from Chicago, but I was one of the only guys there, and a huge Paul Mitchell school full of girls. And I didn't know I'd never picked up a blow dryer. I never picked up a curling iron. So when we were learning, I was just like so behind, I felt, because
Yeah.
the girls had already done that most of their lives.
Right.
But then I started to look at it as like, all right, I'm not behind. If anything, I don't have bad habits. I have to learn
Exactly.
the technical way.
Exactly.
And I just worked really, really, really hard to be good. I was obsessed with, like, I would go home. I remember the girl that I was dating at the time would kind of get annoyed with me because I would watch cutting DVDs every night. And I was obsessed. I just really wanted to be good. And in fact, I only wanted to cut hair because I wanted to be like him. He was departmentalized, so they either cut or they colored.
Oh,
And, yeah,
okay.
and so I only wanted to cut hair originally. So after school, I worked at Tony and Guy, did their apprentice
Oh, look
program.
at that. Okay.
Yeah, and it was actually at Park Meadows Mall.
Really?
Yeah, that was the thing back in the day. And then, I don't know, I think the culture of that salon wasn't in alignment with my core values. And so I was like, I left after doing my apprentice program for cutting, went to another salon downtown, and they made me do color. They're like, you don't really have a choice. Like, we do everything here. And I was like, shit. So I had to figure out a way to be inspired by color the same way I was cutting. And so that's when, this is like 2015, Instagram started to kind of become big at that point and pop off. And
Did you have a MySpace?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Had to ask.
Yeah, the top 8, the customized page.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
You get one song. You're like, this is important.
Yeah, 100%. And so I found these hairdressers in Los Angeles. Their names are Nikki and Rihanna. Huge celebrity stylists. They do like Selena Gomez and Hilary Duff and Steven Tyler, just a bunch of long-time celebrity clients. And they came out with this online platform. It was the first at the time of education. And I didn't have the money to pay for it, and everybody gave me shit, including my mom. Because my mom's financially smart. She didn't want me to like lose my money, but I used whatever money I could to pay for that, and I'm so glad that I did because it inspired me and helped me so much. And so I started to kind of draw inspiration from LA, the looks they were doing there, and bring them to Denver. And just worked really hard on social media. I think that was a big thing too. And I say this when I teach classes, is like, it's not just about who does the best hair anymore. It's about who shows it the best as well.
You
know?
do. Your hair is good. I was looking through your Instagram last night actually, and I was like, holy shit, you're really good at
You're
that.
like, who are we interviewing?
and,
Really good at this.
and well, his content as well. Like his content is very like captive, and you're different than just doing like hair videos, because like sometimes you'll just set it up and you'll get yourself like, girls will be like talking and talking and talking and talking, and you're just like, and you kind of like show your expression sometimes, and I'm like, that's what I love about you though. But you're also very, very real, because you'll get on there and you'll say the things like, hey, this client wasn't, I don't say she didn't want to like her color, but like, what's the video that you just did? And you're like, if you don't like it, you need to tell us up front. Like you say things that like aren't just all fairy tales,
Yeah.
you know?
I'm trying to be more vulnerable on there because, and it took me a while to wrap my head around the new, because before it was Instagram and beautiful photos, right? Then Gen Z came around, TikTok came around during COVID, and it started to become less about quality and more just about real, vulnerable. It didn't matter about the lighting. These girls were going viral off iPhone 6 videos and shitty. And it bothered me at first because I put so much effort into the quality of the photos and the lighting and the editing. So it took me a while to kind of become comfortable with that. But now I'm trying to show more of me because that's what people want.
That's exactly what people
is.
want.
Yeah.
You do get very vulnerable.
Yeah, and I think things are so fast paced now that nobody does care about the quality of a photo or a video. It's just
Right.
like what content can you put out at that very moment?
Yeah.
kind of thing.
Absolutely.
That's why we don't put too much weight on our videos
Oh,
anymore.
yeah, we're just like, go. But yeah, no, you're not wrong.
So was it
go ahead.
Instagram that really like boosted your business, because you do have a lot of followers on Instagram, right? And you've gotten contracts or you teach classes
Everywhere you teach classes,
but most of
everywhere.
that business, did it come from Instagram, like your business side of it?
How do you become Linson Hair?
Yeah, I think Instagram was definitely the catalyst in a lot of it. It's tough. Like, I think that I did build a clientele in Denver by word of mouth as well. So I think that I kind of had that foundation, but then I used social media to just capitalize on it. And it's weird. I used to think back when I started to get a following was probably 2021. I think I got like,
Oh, really? Just 4 years ago?
yeah.
Okay.
During COVID is when I started to really take it seriously. I had this mannequin. We were off work, right, for a long time, hairstylist. So I did a mannequin and I put a hoodie on her and I did her hair and I put sunglasses on her and I posted it and it got shared a bunch and then I started to get followers. And if I'm being completely honest, I hate saying this, but it's the truth. I think being a man does have some advantages for sure because there's less, right? Like imagine a female auto mechanic, right? Like, and she's posting videos on Instagram.
And she's hot.
yeah,
Yeah. People
sure.
are going to be like, I want to get my car fixed by her.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. So I think that kind of has its advantages too. It also comes with its own set of problems as well, though. Like I think we live in a world now where it's kind of like people like to rebel against that person, the man, sometimes. You know what I mean? So I don't know. It kind of goes both ways, but I never wanted that to be the reason for it. So I made sure, and I continue to make sure to stay inspired and take classes and never become stagnant and just always, I just love inspiring people and truly helping people. And I think one of my qualities that I've been told by hairdressers close to me that I've really been honing in on is that I like to make people feel seen, is what they told me, you know? And so I think that's kind of where I'm trying to go now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I mean, I know some of the females that work in your salon as well. And I think I was kind of, asking around yesterday when you were doing your own thing, but I think the consensus that I got from everybody is that you're also a leader. Like, I feel like you're a very good leader and people look up to you, but you're funny and you're down to earth and you never put yourself above or act above. Like, you can have an assistant that's been with you 3-4 months and you make her feel just as much as you are.
Right.
But you are a leader and you teach and you inspire. And I think, and that's just crazy. Is it just you and Chancellor as men in that salon and then just have mostly females?
Yeah. And Chancellor's, He's got a little female in him, which I love about him. you know what I mean?
But he also has a lot of hard ass in
He's a
him.
badass.
And he will tell you what the fuck is up.
Yeah.
And I know he's done that to you recently.
Yeah.
And like I feel like you guys even each other out very, very well. But with you being a leader, you know, 2 men owning a salon, which is just wild. So kudos to you. But like, how do you make sure that your females, your stylists are seen and heard and appreciated and fucked with and scared on videos and doing all? Yeah. Like how do you manage that?
You know, it's tough. I think I never wanted to be a salon owner
Really? I was
No.
going to ask this. I was why?
because I like
It's
being a free
hard.
bird.
Yeah.
There was a point, and obviously, like that's a whole other story. But I moved to LA. I wanted to see what that was about. I actually worked for Nicki and Rihanna, who I talked about earlier, which was a dream come true.
When was that? What year was that?
2021.
Okay.
But I moved right after COVID, and like LA was still really affected by
Yeah.
COVID, and I just didn't have the best experience.
Yeah.
I loved them. I worked at another salon called Beaumain, and they were super great too. They're amazing people as well. I was a little lonely though. I just didn't really have. I literally moved from Denver, you know, where I'd been my whole life, straight to West Hollywood, and was working in Beverly Hills. And
With anybody?
nobody.
That is hard.
Yeah.
LA's it's a different beast
It
for
is.
sure.
And I just don't think I had the confidence back then to really like, even though I had a following and stuff, it didn't feel, it was hard on my soul a little bit. I got lonely. So, and it was just weird, like with COVID at that time, like it was just not the same. And you could feel it in people's energy that it was just not,
Yeah.
a lot of people have left since then.
How long were you out there for?
Not even a year.
Oh.
Yeah. I was like,
Yeah. In and
right
out.
back. And then I moved to Arizona for a little bit. I had some friends with the salon down there, and that didn't really pan out the way I was hoping either. But I'm glad I did it.
Yeah.
You know, even if it was for a short period of time, like just experiencing that. And that's why I didn't want to own a salon, was because I liked the option to be able to be a free
Yeah.
bird.
Yeah.
And like, just maybe I want to leave Denver, because I do love Denver, but I don't know. I
Yeah.
just know myself. However, owning the salon has been one of the best things that has happened to me, in the sense of now it's not just about me, right? Like I'm thinking about, okay, I'm creating content now because I want to help build. I have 3 old assistants that work for me, who are now employees of the salon taking clients, and I want to help them and build them and inspire them. And it's a cool feeling, just not being about me, and obviously my son too.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah, we're gonna get into that for sure. It's all building up to Mr. Bookland for sure.
But you, I mean, you're one of the better in the business, right? Like you have a good clientele. You're on the higher price of women's hair, you know, and you still have a lot of clients and people coming in. Like your work is incredible. It really is.
Thank you.
It really is. But did you ever get to a point where you're like, okay, I mean, I know you had a video about this, like, okay, I can start charging this amount of money per cut. Like, I know you didn't start, you know.
Yeah, how do you sell yourself
Yeah.
so high?
Yeah.
Like your value, because we're in a business of people are shopping us for rates every single day, and it's like we try to sell our value, but it's become so hard because so many people focus on the dollar. Even if there's value, it kind of comes down to dollars. So how do you differentiate yourself from that?
It's tough, and I appreciate you saying that, because there's times, if I'm being honest, where I like a lot of people, even whether they're good or not, have imposter syndrome sometimes. And I even wondered, when I raised my prices to what they're at, if I was going to lose people and if I was worth it. It was my old assistant, Jana. Love her to death. She's in California now. But she was like, Linton, just do it. Like, we're in the basement, and I was making this post. I was raising it to what they are now. And she was like, I promise you, you're going to be fine. You could even go higher. You know, she was talking me up. And I think the reason that I had, how I got there was because I ended up becoming so busy that new people wanted to come in, and I didn't want to be the stylist that was like, I'm not accepting new clients.
Right.
Because then I felt I'd be stagnant. You know, so I thought of it as like, okay, I want to be able to accept new people. But in order to do that, I have to raise my prices so that some people drop off, you know, which sucks, of course. And you don't want that. But if I'm going to continue to grow a business, like it is
You get
business.
higher clientele.
Yeah. And it's, of course, hard because a lot of these clients have had a relationship for years. And so I don't want to lose them. And a little bit of a people pleaser when it comes to my clients, and so I
Yeah.
didn't want to do that. But also, business is business, you know. And now, and I think what's so cool is almost none of them, even batted an eye. And maybe they're like, "Oh, great, my husband's gonna kill me." You know what I mean? Like they started paying in cash a little bit more,
Yeah.
Venmoing half of it, so hubby didn't see. But the other thing that I explained to clients is like the type of hair that I've branded myself and specialized and gotten good at is hair that grows out super well.
Yeah, that's hard. I mean, yeah, I get
look
it. Yeah.
I get
Yeah,
it.
so I see them every 3 to 4 months, and so I show them like, look, you're spending this 3 times a year. Add up what you were spending before with your old stylist, and almost every single time it's the same or less. You know, I explain to them it's more of an investment. Like you're spending more time and money up front in the salon, but less time and money in a year than a lot of other people,
Yeah.
and it looks good the whole time is my goal.
Yeah.
So.
And that's true, and it's because you always keep yourself up to date. And I know you're always taking classes, but I kind of wanted to get into you doing classes. So you'll be in front of hundreds of people at a time. So how did you start getting into that? Because you just posted something yesterday, like you're gonna be in like what, Cincinnati or
Connecticut.
Connecticut.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm like somewhere with the C, but then you go to Florida, and then you go to Hollywood, and then you're in Denver. Like, how did you start getting recognized and seen, and how does that work?
It started with a few Instagram DMs during COVID, after COVID, right when we opened back up. And I remember I told you I started to build kind of a little bit of a following, and my pictures started to pop off. I got better at photography. And I had just had some people reach out and be like, "We ever teach a class?" And so me and a friend at the time, we posted a class, and it was like, I think we charged $500, $300 for the tickets, and we were so scared. I remember I created the whole Eventbrite, and we had 30 tickets available, maybe 20 or 30, and we had a warehouse planned out where we could space them 6 feet apart. Everyone would wear masks, and it sold out in 30 minutes.
That's
We were
amazing.
watching it, and we were like, "Oh my gosh." And it just was surreal. And some of the people actually flew in from other states to come. And I remember I was so nervous. Like, I was literally teaching with a mask on, which made me feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't show as much that
Yeah.
I was nervous. But it was just surreal that people cared enough to, do that, to fly and
Right.
learn from me. So then
Right.
it kind of helped defeat that imposter syndrome,
Yeah.
if you will. And then it just was a snowball effect at that point. And I started posting more and more, and then ended up doing classes with, I think my biggest one was about 200 people last year
Yeah.
in Seattle and Boston.
And you're still doing it though.
Yeah, I kind of slowed down a little bit after having a son, and I've had some personal things go on in my life in the last year, and I just, with the salon and my son, and just, I can feel myself, I'm 31 now, and I feel myself in a transitional period of life. And so in order to like really sit with that and transition, I can't be overwhelmed with things. So I kind of took a little step back from it. But I am getting back into it a little bit more. So
You are, and I think you're doing grace. And I know the last year you've been through some adversity, but from what I could tell and see, and I've seen you personally around your son, is you're an amazing father.
thank you.
And you care deeply in the connection that you and him have with the time that you're currently allotted. You value more than anything. You don't put anybody above him. You do not put anything above him. So I kind of wanted to ask you more of a personal question, but how did your experience with your biological father, and then also in turn your experience with Ray, kind of shape and form the father you've become to Brooklyn today?
That's a good question. It's funny. So Brooklyn's mom, my ex-partner, she had 2 kids from a previous relationship, and I remember when we met, I was like, "There's no way that I'm gonna date somebody with kids." We had a great time, like experience in the beginning, and I was like, "She's great," At the time, it was awesome, but I just remember thinking to myself, "There's no way I can date someone with kids." But then I sat back and thought about it, and I was like, maybe that was what Ray's purpose was, right? Like he taught, maybe I can be a stepdad for somebody, and it was cool. I really enjoyed them, and then we weren't planning to have Brooklyn, and then we did. and I was definitely, it was scary. It was all the emotions, but I think as he got a little bit older, we started to bond more, and just seeing him kind of come to life, and not being able to see him as much, like you said. When I do see him, the fact that he remembers me, or we're on FaceTime and like his face lights up, that I don't know, just hits different,
It's funny how kids completely change your world, your mindset. Like it's like I don't even remember the old person that I was before I was a mom.
I do.
Yeah.
Well,
You're crazy. You are still crazy.
no. But it's fun though, and it only gets better and better and better. Like every age that they go through, I'm like, oh god, this is my favorite age,
Really?
and then it's like the next one, I'm like, okay, this is my favorite age.
Yeah.
It just gets it's fun.
I hear that a lot, and I happy to hear that, because I think sometimes I'm like, because I don't get to see him as much as I'd like right now, I'm like, dang, I'm missing out on so much. But I hear that a lot, so it makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, like, and this is one thing I love about you and that we talked about earlier, is that you're becoming extremely vulnerable. And you have a very big crowd watching you, good and bad, right? Very good
hard, that's
and very
stressful.
bad. There's like
Yeah.
really no gray area with you right now, but I really think that you're handling it with grace. So I think a lot of people can appreciate your vulnerable side. And you've talked about, with your biological father, you've talked about mental health, right? And making sure you stay on top of that. And now you have this tiny little cute, adorable human to take care of. And yes, you're going through a tough time right now. So what are you doing for your mental health to make sure that you are staying the best you can for Brooklyn, but by still feeding your soul with so many eyes on a very public situation?
Yeah. I think first and foremost, I have a great support system. I have great people in my life, great friends, great family, people who know me. And I think I've always been vulnerable. To play off what you just said, I just haven't always shared it publicly. I've kind of, and this is something that I think why Brooklyn has been great for me, because I have learned, I've made mistakes, right? We all have.
We all have. Yeah.
I don't think I was, when I was in my 20s and I started to get, it was fast success. I do feel it was very earned. I put in so much work and so much effort to get where I was, a lot of sleepless nights. But then when that happens in your 20s, although I was inspiring people and making people feel good, it also, no matter who you are, no matter what you do, when you have a platform, you're going to attract negativity as well.
Yeah.
Negative people,
Yep.
and people who I thought were my friends, and they weren't, and I just didn't know quite how to handle that. And from my childhood or whatever, my initial reaction was to be defensive, right?
Yep.
And so that's something I've been working on in therapy for like a long time. But I never quite got it, because I think it bothered me, and I might have learned this from my mom. She was similar. But like if somebody questioned whether or not I was a good person and like talked badly about me, I felt the need to defend myself, because I'm like, no, I am a good person.
Everybody does, though.
Right.
Everybody does.
But there were times when I was a little bit vindictive, and I would, a troll would. I kind of got this reputation a little bit of the person with the platform in our industry that would respond to the trolls. Because I am someone that's always stood up for myself. I've been that way my entire life, and I think you should stand up for yourself. The lesson I've learned is that I can do it in a nicer way, right? Because I found that oftentimes it ended up just making me look bad, and it never made me feel good long term. It made me feel good in the short, like trolling the trolls. Brooklyn has made it to where it's like, now I have to really be a leader and set an example, So I kind of had to go through all that and make those mistakes, and now just really focus on being the best person I can be. It's hard, I'm not gonna lie, because when you have a platform, I think if everybody in the world, their whole lives were exposed on Instagram, every bad thing they've ever done, every text they've ever said from 10 years ago, every heart they've ever broken, put online or whatever, everybody would be canceled.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I couldn't, you know what? I can even imagine, Linson, because I know you decently well. And I know you to be an extremely, extremely good human. And yes, we all make mistakes. but you have a very good character and you are a very good human and you have made mistakes and you've admitted that to a lot of people. But my God, if I were to have somebody dig up all my shit and my 37 years of living, I don't think anybody would like me.
Yeah.
No, but seriously. And now you have hundreds and thousands of people looking at you. So I really do believe that you were handling it with so much grace, and to get on here and say that you've made mistakes and you're learning from it, that's all you could do.
Yeah.
You know, like you can't go back and change anything, but you could change the person you are today. And especially like you said, your son
Right.
has done that for you. And I think that that's a very great thing. And now you're getting more time with him, which is amazing. And you're living it to the fullest. So like with this new time with Brooklyn and hopefully a little bit more to come, you know, whatever is in the works, like how are you going to navigate being a father? Because hair was your priority for so long. How do you just, in one day this human is born and you switch your priority to being that? How do you give to your salon, your passion, and your son?
I'm trying to figure that out.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I don't have it figured out. He's 5 years old, but it's every day. It's just like you get up and you do what you got to do and try to. I don't know. You'll never figure that answer out.
It's tough, right?
Yeah.
Because I think
Yeah.
on one hand, it's like, all right, now I have a new purpose, but my other purpose, hair, is how I set his future up financially. So it's weird because it's kind of made me want to step back from that passion a little bit to focus on that. But on the flip side, it's ignited this new fire in me to really put everything into it so that I can give him a great life. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it too. Like we went into business right when he was born, or not far after he was born. But I was like, okay, it's fucking go time. Like, yeah, I have a kid, but it drives you in a different way.
Yeah.
Especially when they only have you to rely on for the most part, in my situation. But they'll change you. They'll change a lot of things internally for you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially now, it's like time. I mean, we live in a time where you kind of have to do well if you're gonna have a kid and be a single parent, or even not. Even if you're in a relationship with somebody and you're married, it's like it's expensive these days. So. Especially when I
exactly.
split time with him currently in Hawaii. You know, so it's a double-edged sword that I'm trying to navigate. Also with the salon, I'm very grateful that I have a business partner. I'll say that.
Yeah.
I couldn't have
Shout
done
out
it.
Chancellor.
Yeah, shout out Chancellor.
You're such a baddie, Chancellor. I wish we got to get him on here one day too. Like the both of you together, you are just you're a unit.
Yeah.
That is for sure. I do want to know though, what is one lesson you want your son to learn from you with what you do and your work ethic?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I got to throw him in there. You know, we need the heartstrings here.
Yeah, I think the one thing I would want to instill in him, and I try to instill this in my younger brothers too. One of them became a barber. One of them might want to become a hairstylist. My cousin became a hairstylist. So I know it's starting kind of cool, right? Like they're getting into it. And I think the biggest thing is just to not give up, because we live in a time now with everybody wants to be an influencer. Everybody wants to be big online. But in order to do that, in my opinion, and it have substance or longevity, you have to have influence, right? So you have to have like the knowledge behind it, and it doesn't happen overnight. Like my first post that I posted on Instagram, many of them for years, they didn't pop off. I didn't get a bunch of followers. It took consistency and a lot of time. So I think just my biggest thing I'd want to instill in him is learning how to, and I struggled with this, and I still do sometimes, is learning how to enjoy the process versus just focusing on the outcome. Because once you get it, it's like, well, I have it, right? Now what? Then you look like you're almost never satisfied unless you learn to just be happy with where you're at now.
Yeah.
What is the future for you look like? Like, what do you've made it to where, I'm sure this is a goal that you've set years ago, that this is kind of where I want to make it. You're here now. What's your new next like goals that you're setting?
That's something I've never been big on, and maybe I should do this because I listen to a lot of podcasts, I read a lot of books, and they all say to write your goals out in like 5 year, 10 year. My mom tells me to. I feel like I'm not that great at that. I think right now my biggest focus is focusing on the salon, seeing where that goes, focusing on the girls, and my son, and a little bit less on me, which is kind of a catch-22 because in order to help them, I kind of have to focus on me a little bit with, social media and classes and things like that. But I think the big thing is just helping grow this team right now.
And you have a very good team.
I have an amazing
How
team.
many are on your team?
There's 8 of us,
8.
Including my assistant, and it's really cool because a lot of the girls Chancellor and I had worked with over the years, and I feel like the reason I created the salon was because, or we created the salon was because I moved salons a lot in Denver, like a lot. My clients were literally like, this is my 8th salon with you. And luckily, I'm so grateful that they followed me, but I was always searching for something that just didn't exist. I knew I wanted the lighting a certain way. I wanted the music a certain way, like a certain vibe. I wanted the energy of the place. Like there were oftentimes it was like a cool salon and the people were good at hair, but maybe it was a little toxic, right? Or the opposite. So we were very particular about who we brought on, and I couldn't be more happy with the team. And I can tell they feel it too. Like it feels like everybody's excited to go to work, which is the coolest feeling to me.
And it's a family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And outside of work, what makes you happy other than your son and your work? Like what feeds your soul? What do you like to do? What keeps you going?
It's changed a lot over the years. I think fitness is one of the things that I used to want to get into for more vain reasons. Like I wanted to look a certain way. I wanted to, I think now I do it just to feel a certain way. That's huge for me, especially when I get my heart rate up. Like I just feel great. I have struggled with anxiety a little bit, especially in the last 2 years. I think it started to come on. Prior to that, I didn't even know what anxiety was. When people told me they had anxiety, I'd be like, "You just worry too much," in my head. Until I actually experienced it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And that's been a huge release for me. I see therapists. I actually have a couple of therapists that I see. A guy and a girl. I just like them both so much. It's like someone I could talk to and get good advice.
Yeah.
One of them I've seen since 2018, and she's been great. That fills my cup. I love boxing. Boxing is one of my favorite things. I've loved it since I was a kid. My stepdad got me into it, and it's just great. It feels good. I started riding motorcycles again, which I used to do. My grandpa got me into them when I was younger, and that has been probably the newest thing to keep myself happy.
Yeah.
Like if all the things I'm going through and balancing and whatever, if I go on the bike and I just ride for a while, right?
By yourself.
By myself or with a friend. Either way, I think it's just the thing I try to explain to people, like why it's therapeutic is because I can't sit there and ruminate.
Right.
The only thing you're thinking about is not dying. You know what I mean?
Let's not get hit by a car.
Yeah.
It's just you and the road, and it's cool to get done with the ride, and you're just you just feel cleansed. So that's
Yeah.
my other thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we're running out of time, but I have one last question for you. I don't know how in depth you want to go, but again, you've been through some hell, and you've mentioned the word canceled, and we've mentioned the word adversity and trolls and negativity. And I mean, in this last minute or two, what do you want people, and it's not like you have to prove yourself, but what do you want people to know about you as a father, as a human, as Lindsay, whose father did what he did and grew up to be who you are? What do you want people to know about you?
I want them to know that I have a platform, and aside from all that, aside from any sort of success, that I'm just like them. You know what I mean? Like it makes me no different. I'm just like them. I cry like them. I bleed like them. I'm human just like them. And I think, although I'm not perfect, I've made mistakes. I know in my heart, and I think that's what matters the most to me now, is that internal validation, where in the past I seeked more external validation. I know my intentions are pure and my heart is good despite anything else, and I'm just trying to lean more into that going forward and just filter out any sort of negativity and Martin Luther King said something that I really love, where he basically said love cannot, like, hate can't drive out hate. Only love can do that, right? Darkness and light. He has a quote about that that's kind of similar, and it's true. So now I'm like, you know what? I'm going to lead with love, right? And that doesn't always mean that you can't stand up for yourself and you can't be a fighter, but you can do it with more dignity and more class, I guess. Yeah.
Love that. No, you're gonna make her cry.
I know. I'm so emotional. I just love you, and I've seen your fight, and you're great. I just think you're a very beautiful, beautiful human inside and out, and all we could do is take our mistakes and make them better. But to end on a happy note, a very happy note, is there anything we should know about you? Any upcoming like tour dates, or you just?
Yeah, I have all my tour. They're in my bio online, in my Instagram bio. I'm teaching in Connecticut with one of my very best friends in the industry he stood by my side. You know, he's been such a great friend and a great mentor to me. His name's Jay Edwards. He's from Australia.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I taught with him down there. He had like 10 salons at one point down there. We're going to Connecticut, and then I have a few more coming up, Chicago, LA, and yeah.
Well, that's dope.
amazing.
So, and people can obviously find, I mean, it's not like we need to tell where they can find you, but Linson Hair on Instagram. Taking new clients, doing any of that right now? Always.
Yeah.
Well, I know that you're a very busy man, so I wanted to thank you for
Yeah,
being
thank
on
you.
here today, telling your story, being vulnerable, and I just can't wait to see what's to come for you.
We'll
Thank
be
you
rooting
guys.
for you, cheering
Thank
for you on the sidelines.
We out.
Thanks for
Thank
having me.
you. Thank you so much for listening. This is From the Ground Up. Make sure you hit like and subscribe, and check back next Monday for the next episode.